Everyone laughed when she handed her last warm meal to the filthy homeless man outside her cafe. But when the sun rose the next day, 200 uniformed soldiers stood silently in line outside her door, and when she asked why, one stepped forward, tears in his eyes, and said, "Ma'am, that man saved all of us." Everyone laughed when Emily Bennett, the 33-year-old owner of a tiny corner cafe in a quiet town just outside Fort Roland, gave her last hot plate of roast chicken and sweet potato mash to a homeless man who had been lingering outside the window for days, his beard matted, boots worn through, and his eyes quietly haunted. And though most people ignored him or threw glances thick with judgment, she had seen something in his eyes, something broken, yes, but also noble. And when she walked outside with the meal wrapped in a clean paper box, a few regulars smirked, and one even muttered, "You're feeding the trash now?" But Emily didn't flinch. She just smiled at the man, handed him the food, and said gently, "No one's spoken to me kindly in weeks," then took the food in trembling hands and sat quietly on the curb as the sunset poured over his shoulders, and Emily, heart full, went inside to close for the night, unaware that her single act of kindness had just lit a fuse beneath something incredible, because the next morning, before she even unlocked the front door, she noticed something odd. A man in army fatigues was standing at attention outside her cafe, hands behind his back, clean-shaven and stoic. And when she walked up and asked if he needed something, he simply nodded toward the street and said, "Ma'am, you might want to look behind me." And as Emily stepped to the curb, her jaw dropped. Stretching down the block and around the corner were more than 200 soldiers, all in uniform, silent, still, forming a line that seemed to defy logic, and she blinked hard, thinking it had to be a joke. But then another soldier stepped forward, removed his cap and said, "We're here because of what you did for Sergeant Mitchell." And before she could speak, the first man added, "That homeless man you fed yesterday, he saved our lives in Kandahar, twice, took shrapnel for us, dragged a wounded man 6 miles through crossfire, but when he came home, no one was there for him. Not until you gave him that meal." And Emily, heart-pounding, whispered, "Sergeant," as tears welled in her eyes, and the soldier nodded. "Ma'am, that man is the reason we're alive, and we weren't going to let that go unnoticed." And within minutes, her tiny cafe, normally struggling to fill 3 tables, was overwhelmed with respectful, grateful men and women who ordered coffee, meals, and pastries. Every one of them leaving generous tips and soft thank yous, and it didn't stop there, because by noon, someone had posted a photo of the soldier line on social media with the caption, "When kindness comes full circle." And by sunset, the photo had gone viral with millions of likes and thousands of comments, asking how to support the cafe that honored a forgotten hero. And the next day, a local news crew came, followed by CNN, then Good Morning America, and soon the story had swept the country. People showing up in droves to donate, to eat, to shake Emily's hand and whisper how much the story meant to them. And yet, the most emotional moment came quietly 2 days later, when Sergeant Mitchell returned, not in rags this time, but in clean clothes, his hair trimmed, eyes clearer, and when Emily saw him step inside, she rushed over and hugged him. And for a long moment, he didn't say a word. He just held on tightly, tears sliding down his cheek, and when he finally pulled back, he said, "I didn't want to die forgotten, but I think you saved me." And Emily, through tears of her own, replied, "You mattered before the world noticed. You mattered the moment you sat on that curb." And the cafe was silent, the soldiers inside rising slowly to their feet, and one by one they saluted him, not for the first time, but perhaps for the first time since he returned home. And that evening, Emily renamed the cafe Mitchell's Table, painting his name above the door with bold red letters, and as weeks passed, the cafe grew not only in business, but in mission, offering free meals every Sunday to homeless veterans, partnering with outreach programs, and serving as a meeting place for support groups and storytelling circles, where men and women in uniform could speak without fear, could cry without shame. And all of it, every ripple of goodness, had started with one warm meal given without expectation, one moment of human dignity offered when the world had turned away, proving that kindness costs nothing but returns everything, and that sometimes one plate of food in the right hands can feed an entire nation's soul.